The monster nobody saw coming. What if I told you that one of the biggest thieves in American history didn't wear a mask? He didn't rob banks, and he didn't even hide in the shadows. Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee, Secrets, and Transformation. I'm your host, Don Ray. What if I told you he wore expensive suits, sat on Wall Street, shook hands with celebrities, and was trusted by one of the smartest people in the world? His name was Bernie Madoff. For decades, he convinced thousands of people that he was the financial genius. Investors trusted him with his retirement savings, charities trusted him with donating money, and families trusted him with their fortune. But behind the polished smile was a man committed to one of the biggest financial crimes in human history. A crime so massive that it would destroy lives, wipe out fortunes, and leave countless victims wondering how they were fooled so long. This is the shocking story of Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff didn't start looking like a criminal. He built a reputation as a respected businessman on Wall Street. So over time, he became so successful that they even put him as the chairman of NASDAQ, one of the largest stocks exchange. The man who would later become the face of finance fraud was considered one of the most trusted figures in finance. People looked at him and saw success. They saw credibility, stability, but what they didn't see was the giant lie that grew beneath the surface. Madoff promised investors something everyone dreamed about: continuing profits month after month, year after year. Even when the market struggled, Madoff somehow seemed to make money. People called him a genius. Some called him a wizard. Others thought he had discovered a secret formula for investing. But there was no secret formula. There was no extraordinary investments. The truth was much, much darker. And Bernie was running a Ponzi scheme. Instead of generating profits, he was taking money from new investors and using that money to pay off the seasoned investors, the older investors. The money wasn't growing. It was just moving from one place to another, like a giant shell game. The entire operation depended on just one thing: one victim continuing to pour money into the system. But numbers alone didn't tell the story. So behind every dollar was a human being. Retirees lost their life savings. Parents lost college funds. Charities lost the money they depended on to help others. Some people had spent decades saving and investing. In a matter of moments, it was all gone. So imagine working 40 years believing you're financially secure, only to discover one thing: everything had disappeared. Many victims were elderly. Some never recovered financially. Some died before seeing justice. The emotional devastation was just as severe as the financial loss. Families were torn apart. Trust was shredded. Dreams disappeared overnight. The financial crisis of 2008, suddenly investors wanted their money back, lots of it. At the same time, the problem was simple: the money wasn't there. The entire operation was built on an illusion, and the illusion eventually collapsed as the withdrawal requests piled up. Madoff could no longer keep the scheme alive, so the empire had built on lies was beginning to crumble. After decades of deception, the truth finally caught up with him. So Bernie Madoff confessed. He admitted to his sons that his investments business was entirely one giant fraud. Soon afterward, federal authorities arrested him. The man once celebrated as the financial genius was suddenly exposed as one of the giants or the greatest cons in history. The public was stung. And how could this happen? How could regulators miss this? That's right. How could sophisticated investors be fooled? Those questions would be debated for years. But one thing was certain. The mask has finally fallen. The damage extended far beyond money. Madoff's actions devastated countless families. The scandal also affected his own family. Yeah, his name became attached with greed and betrayal. Everything he spent decades building was destroyed. His legacy wasn't one of the innovators. It wasn't one of the success. It was one of the deceptions. A reminder of what happens when greed becomes more important than honesty. The deeper investigators look, the more destruction they found, and the more people realize just how many lives have been affected. The sentence was historic. 150 years in federal prison. The punishment reflected the enormous scale of his crimes. The judge wanted to send a message. Fraud on this scale would not be tolerated. Madoff spent the rest of his life behind bars. In 2021, he died in prison at the age of 82. But for many victims, his death did not erase the pain. Some had lost everything. Some, they never recovered. Some felt justice could never truly match the damage he caused. Bernie Madoff's story is about more than financial fraud. It's a warning about greed, a warning about blind trust, and a warning that appearance can be deceiving. Sometimes the most dangerous people don't look dangerous at all. They look respectable. They look successful. They look trustworthy. That is what Bernie Madoff made so effective. Not of his intelligence, not for his charm, but his ability to convince people that he was someone he wasn't. So this is the conclusion. Bernie Madoff wasn't remembered as one of the financial genius. He wasn't remembered as a visionary. He wasn't remembered as one of the greatest businessmen. He is remembered as the man who stole billions of dollars and shattered thousands of lives. His story serves as the reminder that wealth without integrity is ultimately worthless. Because no matter how long a lie lives, the truth eventually arrives. And when it does, the fall can be greater than anyone could imagine. Bernie Madoff spent decades building an empire of deception, but in the end, the empire collapsed, and all that remains was the truth. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Don Ray.
Don Ray!